Bubba Wallace just broke his silence, and what he said might surprise you. Almost a full week has passed since NASCAR made one of the most controversial officiating calls of the entire Cup Series season, and the driver at the center of it all is finally opening up. Bubba Wallace was standing at North Wilkesboro Speedway on Saturday when he addressed the penalty that flipped his race weekend upside down, and instead of anger, what came out was something a lot more complicated. Acceptance, frustration, and a little bit of disbelief all rolled into one. Let's rewind to what actually happened, because if you missed it, this one was wild. Wallace crossed the finish line in second place during last weekend's race after getting a serious push from his own teammate, Gibbs, on the final lap. Second place, on a super speedway. That's the kind of finish that changes a season. But NASCAR had other plans. Officials ruled that Wallace's number 23 Toyota broke the series' superspeedway rules by dipping below the out-of-bounds line while he was fighting for track position. And the punishment wasn't a slap on the wrist. It was brutal. NASCAR dropped him from second all the way down to 29th. 27 spots, gone in an instant. 27 championship points erased. And just like that, fans everywhere were arguing about whether the penalty actually matched the crime. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because this week, Wallace and the team at 2311 Racing sat down with NASCAR officials to actually talk through what happened. And according to Wallace, that conversation changed how he understood the entire situation. He explained that he always assumed the rule was about gaining an actual position on the racetrack, passing a car outright. But that's not what NASCAR was penalizing him for. It turns out the rule is about gaining track position, meaning where your car physically sits on the racing surface, regardless of whether you pass anyone. And once Wallace realized that distinction, a lot of the confusion started to make sense, even if the outcome still stung. He didn't hide his disappointment either. Wallace admitted he genuinely believed NASCAR would take into account the fact that he tried to give the position back after the incident. He figured the data would show good intent, that he corrected himself. But NASCAR's stance was firm. Once you dip below that line and use it to advance your position, the violation already happened. Giving the spot back afterward doesn't undo it. The damage, as Wallace put it, was already done. And honestly, there's something almost humbling about how Wallace responded to all of this. He didn't lash out. He didn't blame the officials. Instead, he acknowledged that he put NASCAR in an impossible spot. Think about it from their side for a second. Every driver is told the same thing over and over: don't force us into a position where we have to make a judgment call. Race clean enough, stay within bounds enough that the officials never have to intervene. But Wallace crossed that line, literally, and he owned it. A rule is a rule. Cross the line, and you live with the consequences. But here's the thing that makes this story matter so much more than just one race. This isn't just about pride or a bad weekend. This penalty could shape Wallace's entire playoff push. Before this penalty hit, Wallace was looking at one of the best finishes of his entire season. Instead, he's sitting with a result that dropped him 27 spots in the official standings. As of right now, heading into Sunday's Window World 450 at North Wilkesboro, Wallace is 13th in the Cup Series standings. He's still inside that provisional playoff cutoff line, which is good news, but the cushion he could have had, the breathing room, is gone. Every point from here on out is going to matter so much more than it should have, and yet, despite all of that, Wallace isn't panicking. If anything, he sounds like a guy who genuinely believes his team is building something strong. He pointed out that heading into recent races, including the one before this whole penalty controversy, his car has consistently shown speed every single weekend. That's not nothing. Speed is the one thing you can't fake in this sport. He did admit that stage points have been an issue, joking about what he called the first stage or second stage struggles, biting the team at the wrong moments. But when it comes to overall pace, he's confident that Atlanta was actually a strong showing for his team, penalty aside. In his own words, it was just an unfortunate hiccup on his end, and now it's about moving forward, taking it one solid weekend at a time, hitting what he called base hits, and trusting that consistency will carry them through. That mentality is going to be tested immediately because there are still 6 regular season races left after North Wilkesboro before the playoff cutoff arrives. 6 chances to build a cushion. 6 chances to make up for what was lost. And knowing how tight these standings usually get as the summer stretch continues, this penalty could end up being the difference between a comfortable playoff berth and a nail-biting finish to the regular season. So, where does this leave Bubba Wallace right now? A driver who clearly believes his team has the speed to compete for real results. A driver who's owning a mistake instead of fighting the narrative around it. And a driver who now, after sitting down with NASCAR officials, actually understands the rule that cost him so much, even if that understanding came a little too late to save those points. What do you think? Was NASCAR right to enforce the rule this strictly, even after Wallace tried to give the position back? Or should intent have counted for something here? Drop your take in the comments, because this debate is clearly not over yet. And if you want to stay caught up on everything happening in the NASCAR playoff picture as the summer stretch heats up, make sure you're subscribed. Because this story is far from finished.